Bum, 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 bum. Hooked on a feeling. Oh, man. They play that whole damn song in one section of the movie, and that's why it was in the trailers. Plus, it was awesome. The Guardians of the Galaxy. The Guardians of the Galaxy is the latest Marvel movie in a series that is just never, ever gonna die, and hope it continues on. Guardians of the Galaxy is the latest Marvel movie, and it's basically about this one man named Star-Lord who many years ago got abducted into space and just became a bounty hunter. Yeah, I know. And then, of course, he meets up with a bunch of other characters who have their own personal backstories, and they form a group called the Guardians of the Galaxy. And there's a lot more to this movie than just that. That is the meat and potatoes. Actually, that's not even potatoes. That's the little peas on the side that is this movie. But that's the basic premise. It really does focus on Star-Lord mostly as the main character, and everybody else just kind of falls into place as they get together. Groot and Rocket Raccoon, of course, they're teamed up, but you're going to meet them together, but first you're going to meet Gamora. Now, how would I describe this movie? I would actually say this movie is fucking awesome. It is one of my favorite Marvel movies to date. It is not even in the top 10, it is in the top 5. Pretty much outbeating, maybe not Iron Man, but yeah, Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man. It is more funny than it is action-packed, and I'm telling you, when I say this movie is funny, it is funny. The humor, it is just not just fast-paced, it is smart. Sometimes it's pretty obvious what they're going to do if you've seen like a lot of comedies from the old days, or even now, some of the stupid shows that are out there. They do a lot of dumb humor, but they also do a lot of smart humor. And most of the actual comedy retracts from Rocket Raccoon, who is the center focus. He's a dude that they would put on all the trailers. I swear to God, dude, if he's now like in the center of the DVD poster, he has failed as the character, because he is awesome. He's witty, funny, he's a smart ass when he needs to be, and he is just badass. And Groot is one of those characters that just, he's the lovable character out of the entire thing, and he has his own brand of humor, even though he doesn't really say much. And when I say he didn't say much, he does not say much. But you actually grow to really like his character by the end of the movie. Hell, even fucking in the beginning of the movie, the first 5 lines he says, in contrast with what everybody else is saying. Now, Gamora is one of the more interesting characters. She is totally badass in this movie, and her backstory is great. It is so good, in fact, it could have been its own movie. If they were going to make a build-up to Guardians of the Galaxy as a movie, just like they did with the Avengers, I think it would have worked out just as well. That is how good her backstory is, and actually so is Star-Lord's. His story is very interesting. The only real character I really couldn't get into, I would say, is Drax. I mean, I felt Drax wasn't that great of an actor, but then that's when I found out that Drax's character is actually a pro wrestler turned actor like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So give him a few more movies and he'll kick it in by Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Or maybe Avengers 2. We don't know. Now, with this kind of movie, it is a straight-up sci-fi. There is very little Earth elements into it, except for the music, which is amazing. This is one of the best soundtracks I've ever heard. It is so damn 80s with every song. Late 70s to early 80s, mid-80s. This is the soundtrack, man. And it ain't just because it's got that one song. Every song in this movie was old school. And I think that's just the theme here, because they actually got a pretty wacky director, James Gunn, who is over the top in himself as a director, but you take a premise from an old Marvel comic like Guardians of the Galaxy and you put those two together. I don't want to say it's like Joss Whedon with the Avengers, but it is great. It built up to something that I couldn't even believe. Like every serious moment in there, it also built up to a very funny moment. Now, the only thing that truly killed it for me was the villain. Sure, he's evil. Sure, he has a reason to do what he wants to do, but the only thing I found interesting about him is he's working for the bad guy, the main big bad baddie that the Avengers are going to fight later. That's it. That's the only real thing that's like really bad about him, is he's like number 2. And himself, he's not really funny. He's just bad guy. He's generic bad guy who's like, I send you on your way and I will destroy them at all costs. That's it. He really has nothing else going for him. I mean, hell, the bad guy's bitch was way more interesting of a bad guy than him. Now, in truth, even though I said there's a lot of action and there's a lot of comedy in here that really works, there is some heavy drama here and there, and the drama works in itself. I mean, at the beginning of the movie, they treat you to a very serious moment where you almost want to tear up. And by the end of that movie, you're like, oh man, there we go. And even in between, when them talking to each other and working together, the Guardians of the Galaxy actually works. It's in part drama, it does. But for the most part, this is Marvel at its best. I thought this movie might have crashed and burned with 60% and 50% ratings and reviews by people. But people are hyping this movie up to be the best Marvel movie there is. And for the most part, I'd say they're right, but I think Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm not being an asshole here, but it was overhyped. However, I fully say that I enjoyed this movie from beginning to end and totally recommend that you watch it. It is funny, action-packed, somewhat dramatic, and over-the-top in its nature. I will give this movie the buy it rating. That is the absolute highest rating I'm going to give, because if you liked it so much that you went to see it in theaters and then you want to buy it, you were spending some serious moolah on this movie. And I say buy it when it comes out. Don't wait for the bargain bin, because if you haven't seen it now, go see it. If you missed it already, wait till it comes on DVD and then buy it. It is that cool. Alright guys, this is more Reviews WTF, and I'll see you guys on the next After the Show.